There you go, the new Toyota RAV4. Now there hasn't been an officially imported Toyota RAV4 for some time now, around 20 years, so I'm very excited to test it out. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. The RAV4 is available in two variants and neither of them are cheap because they're both fully imported from Japan. Now the 2-litre variant is already past the 200,000 ringgit mark at 203,880 ringgit, while this 2.5-litre model is priced at 223,880 ringgit. With the government sales and service tax rebate, the price drops to 196,436 ringgit for the 2-litre model and 215,664 ringgit for the 2.5-litre model. Whichever way you slice it, however, this is a very expensive car, and I'm wondering whether the Harrier is actually a better buy. Yes, it is 20,000 ringgit more expensive, and yes, it is an older car. There is of course a new model that's just been launched in Japan. However, the Harrier name does have quite a bit more prestige to it, and is also turbocharged, which is something that premium buyers are more accustomed to. That said, there are quite a few things going for it. Let's start with the exterior of the car. It is a bit challenging to say the least. There are very many lines and weird angles, and the grille looks like it's been taken out of a Hilux. There's a lot going on, and I'm not going to say that it's a very pretty car, but it's not boring, and that's not the same that you could have said for the previous RAV4, could you? Inside, it is quite nicely finished. There's lots of soft touch plastics everywhere. There's this stitching on the dashboard here and on the door cards, and everything has quite a nice feel to it, except for one or two things. Some of the switchgear around the bottom is quite obviously from a Vios, and I don't know what this is. This thing, I know that it's soft touch, but you can look and you can see through here, and you can see the steering shaft and all that. It's just not very nice. The infotainment system here, it's got a 7-inch touchscreen, and this is not a UMW Toyota special. This is actually a OEM Toyota part. And you can see here you've got your fuel consumption readout, which you wouldn't get on a aftermarket head unit. However, you still have this very big binnacle over here, which does stick out quite a bit, and it's not a very nice look. However, you've got all your usual functions. You've got Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, as well as a whole bunch of connectivity features. You've also got a very nice rifled look to the knobs over here, and that matches the aircon controls as well. And you've also got a 7-inch multi-info display in the center, although you still have an analog rev counter. Other items of note include automatic LED headlights, 18-inch alloy wheels, keyless entry, push-button start, a powered driver's seat with memory, a 360-degree camera, front and rear dash cams, and 6 speakers. This car also comes with Toyota Safety Sense 2.0, which includes autonomous emergency braking, adaptive cruise control, lane departure warning, lane keeping assist, lane centering assist, blind spot monitoring with rear cross traffic alert, and automatic high beam. The best part about this is that every single thing you see here, all the equipment that you see here, is standard on both the 2-litre and 2.5-litre model. So there's no real reason to get the larger engine model unless you want the extra power. Back here is very spacious indeed. There's loads of legroom, plenty of headroom, and despite the front seats being positioned very low, I can still slide my legs very far in. So all in all, it's a very comfortable place to be in. You can also recline the seats, although the mechanism is quite loud. You hear that? Anyway, you've also got air vents down here. You've got your dual cup holders over here, and down here you've got your USB power sockets as well. There's also plenty of space in the boot. There is of course a hands-free powered tailgate, and once you open it, you've got 580 litres of space back here, which is 60 more than the Honda CR-V. Fold the rear seats down and that figure increases to 1,690 litres. There's also a space saver spare tyre down here, as well as a dual position boot floor, which has a nifty feature. Here it's carpeted, and underneath it is hard plastic, which makes it easier to clean. The RAV4 may still be powered by naturally aspirated engines, but these are not your uncle's Camry's old Toyota engines. Far from it. These are the latest dynamic force engines with direct fuel injection and electric variable valve timing. The 2-litre model makes 173 PS and 207 Newton meters of torque, and it is paired to a CVT with an actual first gear. The car that we're in is the 2.5-litre model, and that makes 207 PS and 243 Newton meters of torque, and this one gets an 8-speed automatic. Right off the bat, this is obviously not a turbocharged engine, so don't go on expecting the usual surge of power that you get in a premium car of the same price range. You sort of have to calibrate your head to get used to this, but this is not a bad engine. I would like to stress that. It's not a bad engine. It is very revvy, it sprints very freely, and it does get up to speed fairly quickly. This, after all, does have more than 200 horsepower. It does take a little while to get up to speed, but it's not slow by any means. In town, it's also a very smooth and very quiet engine, and it's only when you really floor the throttle that you start to hear all the noises. But man, do you hear them? I mean, listen to this. I mean, it's not bad, but for 200,000 ringgit, I was expecting a little bit more than that. Or rather, less. Get what I mean? The 8-speed gearbox that this engine is attached to is also very good. It's very responsive, it's very quick to kick down, and the shifts are very smooth and very quick. Toyota says that this is a direct shift gearbox, and it really does feel it. As you may have read, this new RAV4 rides on the Toyota New Global Architecture, and it's actually the K version of the platform that it is using, the same one that you find in the Toyota Camry as well as the Lexus ES. The benefits of this platform is a very low center of gravity. You can get the seat placed very low in the car, and there's a very high level of torsional rigidity, all improving the driving experience behind the wheel. Now, everyone's been raving about how the new Camry and the new Lexus ES drives, and I've never driven any of those cars, but having sampled this car, they've got a point. This has a mildly sporting bent to it. It's actually quite surprising. The steering is very sharp and very responsive, and it gives the car a level of agility that's quite surprising for a big SUV like this. It's also a very neutral handling car, very stable even when you're cornering hard. And while there is a little bit of body roll, it's all very, very well controlled, so the car still tracks exactly where you point it to. And yet this car is also supremely comfortable. It is quite softly sprung, and that does give this car the body roll that I've just mentioned, but it also means that this has a very compliant ride. This car glides over the bumps, it really does, and yet it doesn't flop around in the corners. There is an underlying firmness to it, but it's still very comfortable. Mercedes could learn a lot from this. Overall, then, this is a very, very good car to drive. It's also very comfortable, and it's all well and good, but is it 200,000 ringgit good? I'm still not so sure about that. So what do we make of the new RAV4 then? It is a very, very good car to drive. It is also very spacious, and it's packed full of features. The sticking point, of course, is the price. At over 200,000 ringgit, it is reaching into premium car territory, and it's not that far in front of its rivals in terms of its driving experience. It is a bit of a hard sell, but it is a good car. There's no denying that. You just have to drive it to experience it and not just focus on the specs and the price.